So Jez earlier had listed 4 qualities he considered part of awakening. I'll have to get him to review those. So this is another quality. I don't know if that was in his list or not. It's what I call radical self-acceptance. And I think when we see things as they are, we totally accept ourselves. It's not that someone is doing acceptance. It's just you have no choice. I mean, things are as they are, including oneself. And I think that's what I heard in what you're saying, that yourself is going to flower as it does.
Imagine an animal like, you know, a leopard sort of thinking, oh, I'm a bad leopard, you know, I made a bad kill. I missed that mongoose or whatever it is. I'm such a bad hunter. I've got to be better. You know, it's like, it's just in a way, there's no part of you that can say, well, as you say, acceptance is just part of it, because I mean, I didn't make the way I am. I'm just what I am. The idea of standing outside, I mean, I know that's what happens in personality, judging oneself. So I could have done that better. I should have done that. And it's not that you couldn't have done it better, but you do what you do at the time. And there's no heavy thing put on you because that's what happened. And that's how life expressed it in that moment. So there's a taken away of a kind of judge. There's not a taken away of judgment at all, because judgment is absolutely there, but it doesn't come from personality. It's just simply the ability to discern and weigh up things. But that self-critical thing is a different thing, and it just doesn't arise. That to me is a big example of the kind of thing that arises in personality that goes. And it's a terrible thing. I mean, the idea of going through your life and thinking you're a bad person, it's insane. You know, it's like, that's like a civil war, you know. It's like within one's own being, there's a fight with oneself. There's no winner in that. It's just endless wastage of energy. Now, I know that's easy to say, and I know it happens, and I have compassion for that. But I'm pointing out, like you're pointing out, that that's the sort of thing that doesn't exist in this.
Well, some of that is imposed culturally.
Well,
I know this because when Chogyam Trungpa first came to the States, he confessed to being amazed that such a thing as lack of self-esteem was a thing, was an issue at all. Culturally, in that part of the world, most people do esteem themselves. Learned that growing up, just as people in the Western world learned that you have to prove yourself somehow, and before you can really accept yourself, and it's not okay to just be the way you are right now. So, but I think this is connected to what Paul was very closely connected to it, because what I see in Paul is a radical self-acceptance. And with that comes this kind of peace that he was discussing. It's all of it. It comes together. When you don't have to strive, but can just be with the way you are, well, then you are at peace. And then you're not afraid of what might happen next. You realize when that happens, you'll be doing that one.
well, I'll jump in there, Robert. I remember you were saying what I think there was a subtle change when you said something like it's not. I think we were discussing on a post with a lady, and she was talking. You said it's not therapy I'm after now. And I've had my time with some psychotherapists, and they were very helpful, for sanity. And who knows, it may happen again. But there's a time for ruthless self-discovery, and that really shows me that the top dog versus underdog solidifies the I, keeps you fixed. You're at war with yourself. You feel you're worthless because you've been told that you need to be worthy, both sides of the same coin. Pride and shame getting flipped around, same coin. how can anyone flow when you're being, dogged by and so it really comes back to, for me, which I've been doing for a while and will still continue to, not I doing it, but I'm aware that it's the natural noticing of things as they arise in each moment. And I think you said it was Camus that said likes and dislikes have nothing to do with it. Is that Cat's Cradle or is that Vonnegut?
It's Vonnegut. That's Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut.
Thanks very much. I don't want to take up any more of your time there, but yeah, nice to talk to you, Jez, and nice to talk to you, Robert.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, it's great hearing from you, Paul. Really great.
To say that I think what Paul described there is a lot of the facets of personality and how they can fall away and lessen because they don't control the life anymore. And acceptance, as you've said, is one part of something that blossoms out of that.
Some of the issues you mentioned are things that I dealt with as a psychotherapist, the low self-esteem and all these other manifestations. And that does need to be treated when it arises. It's not that, and one of my points is that spirituality is not a good treatment for that. It might seem that way at first, but then what you get are people who remain wounded and they become addicted to this spirituality as the anti-anxiety pill or whatever. And that's a hypnotic. So if somebody is really hurting, I will talk to that person on this psychotherapeutic level. What's going on with you now? How are you feeling? Take a deep breath. I don't consider that spirituality. Spirituality, what I call spirituality, is this attempt to define the limits of the universe and where humans fit into all of this. And to me, that trying to put a rope on that is just insanity. Nobody knows anything about that stuff. Nothing. Zero. And that's the funny thing, because there's all this palaver about it. Books, stone tablets, and all the rest of it. And there's no knowledge in it. It's all belief. It's 100% belief, no knowledge. Amazing. And the people are hypnotized by this. And then they, instead of dealing with fears, which you do in psychotherapy, instead they just use this stone tablet, if you're a Jew, cross, if you're a Christian, whatever it is, it's like a magic totem, it's an object. And that's like taking an anti-anxiety, like a Xanax. You're on Xanax, except it's a cross. And you don't really live life. So what we try to do in therapy is to get people to recognize their personality, to see it and make friends with it. And then later, if there's some disappearance of the personality, that's great. But I think the intervention that I'm interested in comes earlier. And when I tried spiritual teaching, this is what you were asking me about before, or we were talking about before. When I tried that, I found I had to retreat into what I'm doing now, which is just confession. This is like stand-up to me or something, stand-up comedy. I mean, it's all hanging out there. There's no teaching involved because there's no intent. When I was a psychotherapist, I wasn't managing those cases. I'd learned how you're supposed to manage them, but I was just being honest.
I mean, one thing for sure, that this is about taking away beliefs.
Yes, I think the thing that you and I, where we really coincide strongly, having had this experience where you find yourself free. That's what happens. You say, "My God, I'm free," right? You just say, "My God, I'm free. This happened. This is amazing," because you've heard this happens to some people, as you pointed out in your book, in your second book. They're not these exalted people. This is
it's ordinary, but
it's ordinary.
But there are characteristics of what this is, and that's what we're kind of talking about and describing as a way to share what this is with people who are ready to hear it. And one of those things is the losing of those soothing beliefs. That's one of the biggest things, I would say. And Paul mentioned aloneness, and I thought that was very interesting, because there's one thing for sure, that this is about a confrontation with aloneness. And I guess it goes hand in hand with losing those beliefs of a comfort. You know, those beliefs actually stop you confronting life head on. And the aloneness is something that has to be confronted. There's no two ways about that. When I had the breakdown, the main thing I felt was an aloneness more than I'd ever felt before. I felt like everyone else was on the earth and I was the far side of the moon. And then somehow I managed to, I came back from it, but I couldn't describe what it was like. And my experience was so different and was so scary to everyone that I couldn't, they actually were like, yeah, okay, you've been mentally ill. I don't want to know about it. It's too scary. But that aloneness is, you know, we come alone when if you look at a young baby, it's in aloneness and it's fed by life and it's beautiful. It's loneliness is a kind of personality trait, but aloneness is a natural state. It's how we come and it's what we return to in this. And, you know, I'm so blessed to have a beautiful, loving wife. And one thing's for sure, that whatever I have to face in my life and she has to face, whatever our relationship is, it can't take that away. It's because we face that aloneness that the relationship is what it is. And the love that's there is more special because it comes from that grounding that first is aloneness and then there is relationship. I think a lot of people use relationship as a running away from the aloneness. Once the aloneness is faced, the love, when you then experience connection, my God, it's even more wonderful and